나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Finally, Nichiren proves that practice of Shikan, the introspection into the mind, is in accordance with the Lotus Sutra by citing from the Great Concentration and Insight, Facile 5, and the annotations on the Great Concentration and Insight, Facile 5. Nichiren's thoughts about contemplation of mind, specifically the 3,000 realms obtained or contained in a single thought moment doctrine, and the most venerable one, the Honzon, expressed in this essay, came to bear fruit in his Kanjin Honzon Sho, the treatise revealing the spiritual contemplation and the most venerable one, which we've already done just a couple of weeks ago, so you can look that up. That's the end of the introduction to this differences of the Lotus sect versus the other 8 schools in their interpretation of Buddha, Buddhahood, the one vehicle. Anyway, Buddhahood. Thank you for being here. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. Take this moment, if you will, to like, subscribe. Don't forget, when we're done, you can share this with others. It's a very bodhisattva thing to do. And thank you to our patrons and so on and so forth. So, there's an important little jewel of information here. Not to minimize it, it's very critical that we understand this. And I was thinking about this morning. It's interesting. When he says that, and Nichiren talks about this contemplation of mind. Contemplation of mind. What does that mean? And that he equates it with the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Are those two different things? Or is it that all of this is one thing? Why do I say this? Because to those who are starting out, or who start with sects and groups, there's an impression that, especially new practicers of the Lotus Sutra get, there's an impression that the Daimoku, which we talk about a lot, that chanting the Daimoku is somehow magic words. And the only reason somebody might think that, because let me disabuse you of that, that's not it at all. But there's this idea that somehow there's some lawn mowing and yard maintenance going on outside. I apologize. Anyway, that Daimoku is doing something. You might say, well, yeah. When we chant, we open our Buddha mind, our Buddha nature. Here I go with my glasses, karma again. There's a problem, again, it's a problem of language. We tend to think in language, And we think that the daimoku is doing something to our mind. But that's not the case. This is another reason, by the way, why this mandala is so important, so significant. We need to get this samsaric attachment to self and other, magic formula, doing to me, this whole idea that the fundamental truth of life is somehow something we need to capture from outside ourselves, that we're victims of it, that we're somehow, all right, maybe not victims, but certainly influenced by. And I keep telling you, the universe is not happening to you. It's an expression of you. So get this straight. When we chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, we are not asking something to Nam Myoho Renge Kyo us. We are not asking Namo Myoho Renge Kyo for Buddha to enter us. We are not looking for in the mandala that magic thing that will fix us. No. That is religion. That's not Buddhism. The universe exists in your mind right now. What chanting does, what the Lotus Sutra teaches, what Nichiren is trying to get everyone to understand since Shakyamuni. And Tendai did this, and Tengyo did this, and Myalo did this, and Nagarjuna did this, and Vasubandhu. All of these scholars are trying to explain with words, language, that all we need do is awaken. What is it? Why? Why awaken? Why enlighten? Because it's already there. We need to change our own mind, train our mind around what it's already doing. It's our samsaric mind that we're clearing, opening. We're not putting anything into it. We're not taking anything out of it. We're not changing what the world and the universe does around us. We're not allowing ourselves to have this stuff come into us and imbue us. There's no magic here. We have a focal point in the mandala to focus on what? What our mind is doing in its being. We're simply awakening from the dream and seeing, perceiving, experiencing contemporaneously in this same moment without all the distraction, attachments, stuff. We're seeing all the same things, but from the standpoint of our mind's activity. We're invoking our mind that's already there to wake up and smell the roses, see what's actually happening without the imposition of all these things we need to control. That's what's external. That's what's outside of us. Is possessing, pushing away, fear, all of that stuff. That's the fake. That's what's outside of us. And if, to use the terms I used earlier, if you feel as though, if you perceive as though those things, those forces are happening to you, then what Buddhism is telling you is you are the one who's making it look that way. Because that's not the truth. The truth is You're in control. You're making the universe. That's like such a whoop. That's such a mental shift, right? A mental conversion. But that's what's been there all along. The process of the universe has existed long before you showed up, and it will continue long after you've gone. Just perceive it as it is. Stop trying to convert it into your this, their that. That is the source of your stress, your anxiety. Your control over the universe is simply to perceive it as it is. And because you can do this, you then can retrain your mind to adjust its relationship with all of this other, which isn't other, but for the purposes of living this life, it's other, it's stuff. But that's all it is. It's just manifesting moment to moment, just like you. Wow, isn't that amazing? If that disappears, I haven't lost anything. Nothing is lost. Energy is energy. Conservation of energy. Use science if you like. You don't have to. This idea of belonging. So, it's interesting to me, though, that the introducer to this compendium of academic or scholarship, whatever influences it has, still recognizes that what Nichiren is talking is about the same thing Tendai talked about, the same thing Shakyamuni talked about since day one. Observe what your mind is doing, because that's the key to everything. Since birth, our mind is a great big accumulator. But at some point, you have to mature and understand that you haven't accumulated anything. That everything you think you've accumulated has always been there. It's nothing new. This is the great argument even in mathematics and science. When we discover something, does discovery mean invented, or does it mean finally seeing something that's been there all along? So let's start the actual letter. A treatise on the differences between the Lotus sect and the other 8 sects. Well, the other 8 sects is a contextual reference to Nichiren's day in Japan. It's not that there are 9 sects of Buddhism, period. No. It's that in Japan, in the medieval age of the shogunate, there were 8 other schools calling themselves Buddhism who propagated a version of teachings that they claimed to be Buddhism. And there's a difference between them. Otherwise, why would there be 8? Yeah? So he starts, in the 9th facile of his annotations on the words and phrases of the Lotus Sutra, Grandmaster Miao Lo declares, quote, before the eternal life of the Buddha Shakyamuni was revealed in the duration of the life of the Tathagata chapter, finally, it's quoted correctly here, the permanence of the 3 bodies of the Buddha had not been revealed. Should I read that again? Because that's an important statement. Remember, I've talked many times about the three bodies of Shakyamuni Buddha. And again, we have to understand language here. I'm sorry I'm harping on that lately, but it is the one thing that could be most misdirecting and confusing if you don't understand the purpose of the language of the teaching. When we talk about the three bodies of Buddha, we're not saying that Buddha, Shakyamuni, had three bodies standing before you. Like one of those movie tricks where the single image folds out into multiple images, like we've lost our vision, or double vision kind of thing. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that when you and I, with our mind, because Buddhism is about the mind, never ever forget this. When our mind has a thought, we don't have to, but we can assign three different aspects to having that thought. We don't have to, but if we really want to understand the mechanism of a thought, we can use three aspects of it to our advantage, to help us with more language, to help us understand how our behaviors and our habits and so on and so forth contribute and are influenced by that mind. Okay, enough language. So when you have a thought, it's in the language that I just said. You have a thought, already set up as a duality. It's hard to conceive of the thought as you, but that's the truth. So we'll call that truth the Dharma, the actual experience of the thought. Because if you understand that aspect of the thought, it really doesn't need you, the self, the ego. It is an emergent property of this apparatus, of this flow, right? This momentum of uncountable energies that manifests a consciousness, several, but this particular consciousness, Buddha consciousness, which has been there all along, and you conceive of a thought as though it is new. All that thought is something that's always been there that you're now becoming aware of, but you are now becoming aware of. Which you is becoming aware? Oh, that would be the accommodative, the manifest self, the apparatus. Suddenly listens, hears, sees that thought, which is self-reflective, yes? But those are two aspects already. And then this samsaric body, walking around having this thought, suddenly has an insight. What suddenly has an insight? The thought? No, the thought's always been there. You, the ego, the self. Oh, reward. That's three bodies. That's the same person with the same mind, but three different aspects of that same act of realization, the thought, the moment, which, as I've already pointed out in the last video, is the entire process of the universe. Every phenomenon in the universe is expressed in each and every moment in time. Because what is the universe? It's just time-space. And all this time-space came from nothing. Noumena. It was just potential. It was just possibility. And it's now being expressed, and we're in it. It's not new. It's just manifesting, expressing what it does. exactly as you and I are. Albeit we put all these obstacles and colors and language and possessions and ownership and manipulation and all these other realms that we like to touch, feel, own in this instantiation. It's like a kid in a candy store. We're going to zoo. We're going to the zoo. Tell a 4-year-old you're going to the zoo, and most 4-year-olds will go, yay! And on the way to the zoo, walk into a candy store and watch that kid not even know what a zoo is. Because candy! Come on, we need to leave. Candy! We're going to the zoo. Gosh! Get out of the candy. Let's go to the zoo. And the attachment is so strong. You're going to have to walk that child up to the gates of the zoo where he can hear the elephant in the background and see the gates. And finally, can we go see the tigers? It takes that long for that poor kid to let go of the candy. That's just like you and I. We're so hooked on the stuff. The candy's not going to go away. The candy store will be there tomorrow. Everything continues to exist. Change your mind. Stop stressing about ownership and start flowing with everything. All of this is about observing what the mind is doing. How's it going in there? Relax. So when we chant Namo Myo Renge Kyo, we are exercising our mind's focus on what the mind is doing. That's what the mandala is about. That's what the characters Myoho are about. That is what Namu, our dedication to achieving that focus, is about. The Renge Kyo, the Renge part, Myoho about focusing, Renge about the 3,000 realms in every single thought moment. In other words, the actual process of all phenomena in the universe, irrespective of time or space, because that's how everything works. Kyo, this realization, this teaching, this dharma, this experience of that. There's no magic in that. There's simply an adjustment of focus, an awakening of Buddha, an observation of mind. I mean, that's the whole enchilada, my friends. So the 3 bodies, just 3 ways of understanding the one mechanism. That's all it is. And what he's saying here is that when we read that chapter on the lifespan of the Tathagata, Shakyamuni himself is saying this. You guys think that I'm a guy who found this thing called Buddha in this life. Ha ha. Nope, not right. Buddha, this life state, this mind state, it's always been here. Whether the mind that perceives has been here or not isn't the question. Because we know the mind that perceives is an invention, an emergent property of this entire apparatus. So it's very precious, this few moments of life that we have to perceive the nature of the universe. But perceiving the nature of the universe and the nature of the universe are not the same thing. The perception of the nature of the universe That's Buddha. That's what all of us can achieve because we have a mind. Without the mind, the universe just does what it does. It doesn't care about makeup being seen. Well, what's the point in doing all of this? Nobody can see me. The universe doesn't give a crap. The universe is just this expression of energy. Just like you and me, we're an expression of energy. But we have this unique capability that we only get to experience in our lifetime, our humanness, because we develop this apparatus for a mind to emerge. And that mind can see its own process. Or it can invent its own process and get lost in the candy store. Whee! Okay. Live your life with rotting teeth and diabetes and go ahead. You can do that. Or you can get outside the candy store, look at all the stores. Wow, there's more than just candy in this universe. Wow, there's a lot in this universe. Wow, that's amazing. Wow, having this mind is so amazing. You see? We'll just let that go. It's another robocall. All right, so he goes on. When the permanence of... So, yeah, when... gosh, that's annoying. Shut up already. Gosh. Okay. So in the lifespan of the Tathagata chapter, Shakyamuni explains that Buddha, this condition of the universe expressing every potential it can, manifesting it over and over and over again, momentarily instantiating energy. It's always been here. But when we first read this, and it's a fault of language, and it's a fault of translations, and on and on and on and on and on and on. But this does not mean that the Buddha, Shakyamuni, actually existed billions of years. No. This is that attachment to the candy again. Buddha-ness, the process of the universe, has existed billions of years. It's not new. The only thing that's new is our perception of that fact, that experience of that fact. It's incredibly liberating, right? Because at one fell swoop of realization, our perception of everything is our responsibility. It's not happening to us, it's happening for us. It's ours to perceive, to experience, moment to moment. And if some of it is not to your liking, well, it's not the fault of it being not to your liking. It's that you're misunderstanding that it's simply doing what it does, whatever it is. And that if you don't appreciate what it is, then move away from it. Because it's only doing what your attachments are asking of it. It's like going into that candy store and finding something with cool colors that you like, sticking it in your mouth and going, "Ugh." Well, it's not the fault of the candy that it tastes like something you would never put in your mouth again. You put it in your mouth. This goes back to the how many people do we know, including ourselves, that go, "Oh God, this is terrible. I don't know what, life is horrible. Blah 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 blah. Wham wham wham." Then change it, because it's yours. This is the nature of karma. Karma is just energy. If you don't like the energy that's ongoing, then you need to change it. Extrapolate this all the way out. This is what we call world peace in Buddhism. Because the world is filled with people who are trying to stay in the candy store, they are so deluded about the reality, the beauty, the amazing life that they have the opportunity for. They've clouded it and piled on all of this crazy stuff, attachments that they've dedicated to them. They've turned that into their life to the point where we have wars and conflicts and starvation and poison, and all of that is man-made, mind-made. We have the potential in the universe for the absolute abhorrent, and we call it evil. Why? It's a good use of the word evil, not because it comes from outside of us. This is the damned part about language. It's intensely anti-life because it adheres to this avarice, greed for holding on to, controlling, having. Don't take my candy, that's mine. Even though you're drowning in it. This is the logic, by the way, of religions that run the world. They're going to squeeze every last drop out of this planet they can, as if that's going to make them what? More? Better? You kill the planet, you kill you. Why that simple logic eludes people is amazing. So how do we, Buddhists, save the planet? How do we change that? Do we sit around and look and point at them and go, they're so abhorrent? That's absolutely of no value. You're joining them. We have to change their minds. How do we change their minds? We show them a better way. We gradually influence their minds towards self-observation, observation of the mind, and these attachments begin to fall away. It's what we're doing for ourselves. All we need to do is share it. This is what Shakyamuni was saying from the very start. Enlighten your mind so that you can have a happy life, a life-affirming life. Enjoy this process. Enjoy it so much that others want to know what it is that you're doing that's allowing you such freedom and happiness, no matter what your situation, no matter what your education, no matter what your status. Happiness is happiness. Convince enough people that they need to do this, and they will do it on their own, because we can get addicted to happiness, yeah? And slowly, we influence the needle on the population of the world toward life-affirming acts and less of that negative, avarice, stupidity, right? Slowly, we get them over to the actual phenomena, the actual realization of how amazing life is. That's how we achieve peace. It's hard work because it's so much easier to just run back into the candy store. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to Screw the zoo. Look at all this candy. When the permanence of the Buddha's lifetime was revealed, the Buddhas, not Shakyamuni, in this chapter of the Lotus Sutra, the unified threefold body, well, duh, in both the essential and theoretical sections of this sutra was clarified. So until the lifespan of the Tathagata chapter, it was not explicitly revealed that these aspects of Buddha were really just the mind. So that means that in the earlier teachings, sects got candy stored into one aspect of what enlightenment is. They didn't get the connection. In his words and phrases of the Lotus Sutra, Facile 9, Grandmaster Tendai says, quote, "The three bodies of the Buddha have always been fused into one throughout the past, present, and future." And here again, we get this lives business. Lives, again, this is language and translation problems. We're not talking past, present, and future lives. We're talking past, present, and future manifestation. Because what is the universe? Endless manifestation, moment to moment. Are those lives? You could call them that, but don't we tend to assign lives to people and things? Yes, it's a candy store, but more realistically, it's a candies store, because we recognize the wrappers more than we do the candy. However, this was kept in secrecy and not revealed in the pre-Lotus Sutra teachings. It wasn't that, I'm not going to let you know until you study with me for 40 years and then I'll tell you. No, it wasn't an intentional secret. Again, problem of language. It was that people weren't ready to understand the intersection of all reality into one point. They had to take it step by step. Understand this. Please understand this. Okay, now we're going to introduce this. It wasn't that it was a secret. You weren't ready to hear it. That's not a secret. Right? Just like if a friend of yours asks you about Buddhism and you dive into the 3,000 realms, are they going to get glassy-eyed on you? Probably. Always, 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 always start with simply chanting. Just chant with me. Then if you want to talk about the 3,000 realms, well, it depends. You know your friends best. This gal is she's really analytical. And she's studying quantum physics. So I'll talk 3,000 realms with her. Not until we chant together for a bit. Right? Let's spend 15 minutes chanting. Oh, too long? 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The time it takes to walk to your car. Chant with me. Okay. So, what's happening when we chant? We're opening this window of understanding, this portal, this quantum portal of peering into the very nature of all phenomena. Wow, that's exciting, right? As a quantum physicist or a quantum whatever student. And Buddhism says there's, just as a matter of numeric understanding, 3,000 realms of existence within each thought moment, however long a moment is. You mean like an angstrom or a Planck moment? Yeah. 3,000 of those, in other words, selections amongst potential, are occurring constantly in each moment. Wow, that sounds a lot like quantum. Go on. Right? Somebody who studies quantum would probably be fascinated by that discussion. But I have another friend who works at a Kmart or a Walmart, pick a store, and they're a stock clerk, and they have to take orders, from a sheet of paper, and so many of these go in this position, and it's mind-breaking stuff to remember which aisle is which number and which shelf is which letter, and blah, 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 blah. You start talking 3,000 realms to that friend, and they're, oh man, this is work. They don't want to hear that, right? So we have to use some of our own Buddhist wisdom. And maybe all we do with that friend is, wasn't that interesting? Chanting? How do you feel? Feel different? Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, well, that's great. Just whenever you stress out during it, while you're working, whatever, just chant in your head. You can chant out loud if you want, but just chant in your head. And let's do this again. I enjoy your company. Come over next week. If you have a question, email me, give me a call. Come on over. We'll chant a little bit and we'll talk about it. Very loose, very open, very non-confrontational. Yeah. You teach to the capacity of your friends. So, there's a chart in here. And I'm going to, just so you can see, let's see if I can hold the book so you can see how it's broken down, these different definitions of Buddha amongst different sects. So the first one, Buddha, has that triple explanation. The Dharma body, the reward body, and the accommodative body. The accommodative body, actually, I like that word better than manifest body, which I've read throughout Gosho Zenshu, says manifested. That's kind of a tripwire. I think it's a more appropriate word to say accommodative, because as I've said so many times, this apparatus, this body and its environment included, this whole apparatus of energies manifesting, is what creates the conditions for a tendency called mind to emerge. So this body accommodates the instantiation of mind. The mind, which is the experience of and the reward of experiencing through this accommodative self, body, right? So that's Buddha. The first explanation, that's the bottom line. See it? Can't get the focus. Anyway, in the next one, the Buddha nature of living beings, whether or not living beings have Buddha nature is not discussed in Hinayana Sutras. So this phenomena of the universe, of instantiating from a maximal pool, or not even a pool, the potential of potentials, just manifestation. Whether or not this apparatus, this accommodative body, has that nature isn't even discussed in Hinayana. Next, such Mahayana sutras as the Flower Garland Sutra, the Hodo Sutras, the Wisdom Sutra, the Great Sun Buddha Sutra, they reveal that living beings have an innate Buddha nature, Shoin Bushu, but not the wisdom, the Yorin Bushu, which awakens it. In other words, we're now telling you, as you're more evolved, that this Buddha nature, this pre-existing condition, if you will, of Buddha exists in everything, in you as well. Wow, that's pretty awesome. But they don't talk about how you can awaken it immediately. It's already there. So why can't I see it? Why can't I experience it? We're not going to talk about that. And then the Lotus Sutra preaches that living beings are endowed with the three kinds of Buddha nature, as well as the virtuous deeds which enable one to develop wisdom. So there's a mouthful of language that could be very confusing. So what does that mean? The en in busho, the virtuous deeds which enable one to develop wisdom. That's very simple. If you make life-affirming thoughts that contribute to life-affirming action, then the result is life-affirming reward, right? The three bodies. If your thoughts are toward enlightenment, toward beneficence, toward helping others get to enlightenment, if your thoughts are life-affirming, and you have thoughts constantly, right? Then your life moves in a life-affirming way for yourself and others. It's just logic. And as we move through the coursing as bodhisattvas with this Buddha intent, attitude intent, we accumulate a different experience of life, a different understanding of how other minds are grappling with the candy store. And that gives us wisdom, understanding of how to move others toward Buddha, including ourselves. Makes us more alert to those little strings that pull us in life-unaffirming ways. We see it in our environment. The environment is our mirror. In other words, you cease to see everything as other. Look at what that's doing, and understanding that what that is doing is a function of what your mind is perceiving, what it's doing to your own life in that moment. Yeah, there's no separation. Living beings, Shoin Bushu, Roin Bushu, En in Bushu. In other words, this apparatus experiences that gamut of the three bodies, whether you're aware or not. It's just happening. Let's read a little bit further. The words and phrases of the Lotus Sutra, Facile 10, preaches, quote, the Shoin Bushu is possessed by the Dharma body, Buddha, and it is innately possessed by all people throughout past, present, and future manifestation. In other words, this body, this idea of Dharma, the enlightenment, it's always there. And it is innately possessed by all people throughout past, present, and future, right? By nature, they are endowed also with the seeds of En-in Busho and Roin Busho. These Buddha natures are not acquired as a result of practicing Buddhism. They're already there. Again, it's not magic. Chanting Namo Myoho Renge Kyo doesn't bring these things into us. It awakens what's already there. When you first, let's go back to the candy store, when you first put a candy in your mouth and your tongue comes alive with all that sugar, you didn't suddenly grow special things on your tongue in order to experience that sugar. You could think that, but you would be wrong. Your tongue had that capability all along. You just put something on it that let it flourish. You see the difference? Shakyamuni Buddha is quoted to have declared in Facile 2 of the Lotus Sutra, Chapter 3, a parable, "This triple world is my domain." This is Buddha, not Shakyamuni, Buddha-ness talking to you. This is your mind of Buddha saying all three aspects are happening right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, always has been. You just have been sleeping through it. Why triple world? Some say past, present, future. Okay. I say dharma, reward, accommodative. This is always a conversation about Buddha-ness, the mind. This means that the Buddha Shakyamuni has the virtue of being our master, king, and most respectable in the world. His words, quote, "all living beings therein are my children," end quote, means that the Buddha has the virtue of our parent. This gets confusing because it keeps bouncing between Buddha man and Buddha-ness. But you have to understand, Shakyamuni is talking to people who can't understand their mind's potential. That Buddha is the condition of experiencing the whole of the process. And so Buddha, as a human, Shakyamuni, takes on the mantle of Buddha-ness and speaks as an embodiment of Buddha-ness. But he's just a man. He divulges this in the Lotus Sutra, in the lifespan of the Tathagata, because the Tathagata, which is the proper way to say it, not Buddha, the Tathagata is the process, is the Honzon, is the ultimate one, the one vehicle, the one way of perception. Tathagata. I heard, what's his name? Plenty of people have created channels and talks about him. Oh, shoot. I have such bad memory. Anyway, he talks about, I can't remember it. I'll come back to it. Anyway, so, there are many sufferings in this world. Only I can save all living beings, end quote, points out his virtue of being our teacher. In the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, the duration of the lifespan of the Tathagata, he talks about the babies, the first words that come out of, parents being so self-obsessed. He's saying dada. No, he's saying mama. He's saying tata, Tathagata, tata. When I heard him talk about this, I thought, oh man, that's great. What a mind shift, yeah? And the Buddha is quoted to have declared, quote, "I am the father of the world." Not him, Shakyamuni. Not a man is the father of the world. That's deification. That's not Buddhism. He's speaking as Buddha, the perception of what creates everything. The world, the space, the time. It's this process, this Tathagata of instantiating potentials. Moment to moment is why I'm doing that, not practicing karate. But there's this mixed metaphor, right? Father, which is a human or an organism at very least, right? But understand, this is just language trying to describe that everything manifest in the universe is a manifestation of energy that's happening moment to moment. And therefore, you could say that that process, not the energy, but the process of energy instantiating, the formations. Isn't this what Shakyamuni was talking about from the start? Even in his earlier teachings, in the Satipatthana and others, where he talks about breathing meditation, he talks about contemplating the mind, contemplating ceasing the formations. It's in the Four Noble Truths. He's been saying the same thing all along, but people's perceptions were limited. Ceasing formations. What do you think that is? So here we go again with a triple body. Lord, King, what's meant by that word? Buddha in the reward body. Buddha in the reward, not Buddha as reward body, Buddha in the reward body. Why is it said that way? Does it really matter? Reward body is this moment of realization. The moment of realization that happens between the thought and the apparatus that thinks it, right? The reward, we don't look around the universe and see rewards, little ka-chings everywhere in the universe. That ka-ching happens in our mind. And that mind exists because of this apparatus, this accommodative body. The teacher, Buddha in the accommodative body. The accommodative body that gets a reward from having the right perception learns something about itself, about all things. That's the teacher. Remember, I told you, I'm not teaching you anything. You're teaching you. Parent, Buddha in the Dharma body. The situation as it has always been. And when you think parent, you think no time of yourself exists without parent. Live or dead doesn't matter. You had to be parented, spawned, portaled, however you want to say it, into this samsara. And so this process of the universe is the parent. It is the thing that availed your existence. This process of Tathagata, of the universe instantiating potential. You're parented by it, you're taught by observing it, and it is the Dharma. The governor, whatever. Okay, I've gone on long enough. This is probably the most in-depth thing I've read, specifically tying in the different stages of Shakyamuni's teachings with the concept of the three bodies of Buddha, the Dharma, the accommodative, the reward. And I think it's important, just as it's important to understand the 3,000 existences in a single thought moment, that all of this refers to that specific momentary aha in your mind. I get it. I get how all this is working. And in that moment of getting it, there's a release of stuff that's not important, that's just incidental. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Keep your practice strong. Be kind to yourself. You know, watch your health. Be mindful of your health. And we'll continue this in the next video. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, discuss amongst yourself, online or in your home. And if interesting questions come up, that's what the comments are for, so please use them. All right. I appreciate all of you deeply. Super proud of your practice. Stick with it, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye for now.